All right. Hey there, and welcome to today's episode where I'm going to just really talk about the question about being honest with yourself. So, are you being honest with yourself? Are you living from a place of integrity, self integrity? And I want to dive into that today. So, before we do, if you don't know me, my name is Matt Codde, and I'm a licensed clinical social worker and the founder of Restored Minds. And if you are looking for help on your journey to recovery from things like OCD and anxiety, panic attacks, chronic pain, we have some links down in the notes for you to check out. Some great resources linked up, as well as you can head over to restoredminds.com. Also, if you benefit from the show, please help us out by liking, subscribing, and leaving a nice review on iTunes and Spotify. It makes a huge difference, and I very much appreciate your support. So let's go in to today. Again, this is going to be a little bit more of a sensitive topic, one that maybe we always don't want to look at, but a lot of times, the way to change and transformation, which is what this podcast is about, or this show is about, is really confronting and becoming conscious of certain things that maybe we don't want to look at. One of which is, how truthful are we being with ourselves? Because one of the things that oftentimes gets people stuck in this loop for long, long periods of time is just the denial of it in and of itself, or how much it's impacting you. And if we can deny that something's a problem, right? It's not that big a deal. It's not as bad as these other people that I've heard. So, mine's not that big a deal. Or so minimizing, lying to people or ourselves of why we're doing something, telling ourselves these logical reasons why we're doing something, or explaining to our significant others why we logically have to check the stove or go back home or whatever, right? It's like we hide in these ideas of logic, and it makes sense, and it's practical, and this, that, and the other, when really it's just all fear. It's fear. And if we aren't able to be honest with ourselves about, hey, like, is this a problem? And, if we're not able to do that, we're never going to change, right? Because we'll always have a reason why there's nothing to change if we don't have a problem, you know? And this is one of the things where we need to do a moral inventory here, like a self-integrity inventory, and like, am I being honest? Am I being honest with myself? So when you ask yourself this question of, is OCD and anxiety or panic or stress or fear, right? You can use a lot of these interchangeably. Is it impacting my ability to live the life I want to live in any way, shape, or form? And if so, then how much? Scale of 1 to 10. I mean, honestly. Like, if I wasn't experiencing these things, right? These intrusive thoughts, these fears, would my life be different? And what would that look like, right? Would I be pursuing relationships? Would I be in a different career? Would I be pursuing a different career? Would I be, traveling? Would I be, like, how would I be living? And again, I think a big part of this has to come back down to the very, very blunt question of, am I living today to survive today, or am I thriving today? This is just some food for thought questions today that I want to present, because again, like I mentioned in the last episode, no one can do this for you. No matter how much external support you have, mom, dad, significant others, brothers, sisters, like, no one can make you change. No one can do the work for you. No one can fix you, right? It's like the only person that can change this is you. And the only reason you'll ever change is if you identify that there's a reason to change, or that there's something to change. And sometimes taking this quick inventory, we can really begin to get a little more honest to ourselves. Like, one of the biggest lies that most of us tell ourselves is that we don't have time. I don't have time to do this right now. It's not convenient. And the reality is you're never going to feel like there's time. It's never going to feel like a right time. You don't need to feel like it's the right time to make change. You just have to be willing to make change. And if you wait to the day that when you feel like doing it, you're going to arrive at the end of your life having never done it. Almost guaranteed. Because of course you don't feel like doing it. Like no one does. Right? It's and this is where I more just want to have like I just want to send some questions, to you, and I want you to just sit with them. And you might be like, well, this is, kind of making me uncomfortable today. I don't really like this, right? I don't like doing this kind of exercise. This is supposed to make me feel better. And it's like, well, no, like this show doesn't exist to make you just feel better today. Even though sometimes that may be, something that happens from the episodes. This show exists for transformation, right? It exists to help create transformation. Because I've been there. I've been at points in my life where I'm just surviving. And I've also been in points in my life where I'm thriving and everywhere in between. And I know the difference. And one of the things that we sometimes have to be honest about too is if I need help. Like, I'm very much a, believer that this is not a journey people should walk alone, right? I articulate that quite clearly and regularly. But it's a thing where I still see a lot of people there. The reason that they're stuck is just merely because I don't think I should have to ask for help for this. I should be strong enough to do this on my own. I'm smart, I'm very capable. I'm an overachiever as I am. I'm going to figure this out on my own. And there's this immense amount of pride that comes in. And that's a huge detriment to someone's recovery as well. And while these questions may not be comfortable, my hope is that by surfacing this, you begin to look at maybe some things that you don't really want to look at, but looking at those things will allow you to become aware enough of them to begin to change them and overcome them. And when you ask yourself, like, how much is this impacting my life? And, am I really thriving or am I surviving? Like, if you had to weigh those, what percentage of your life are you surviving versus what percentage of your life are you thriving in? And how can you make that to 100% thriving? What's preventing that? And if you don't have the time or don't have the resources, if you don't have them now and you haven't had them for the last X amount of months or years or whatever, do you really think that that's going to change one day to really get you are you going to have the time or the resources to finally do this? It's like, are you just going to put it off more and more and more? And more importantly, if you're trying to do this on your own and you're someone who's like, I'm going to figure this out myself, I'm going to do this myself, and that's just the only way this is going to happen. Well, if that's true, then let's ask yourself, okay, like, where are you at right now? Right? And if you're not where you want to be, how are you going to get yourself there if you haven't already? If you were going to figure this out all on your own and completely accomplish it on your own, why haven't you? What's preventing that? And, and we can keep going with question upon question upon question here, but the objective of today's episode is to sit with questions that maybe stir up that discomfort. And the reason is not because, I don't want you to be uncomfortable. Like, that's not the objective, but the objective is like, that's what we sometimes need to confront in order to start making real transformation. And if your objective is real transformation, then these questions can be very powerful for you because they can start having you look at things a little more, from a different lens than how you've been looking at them. And if you've been dealing with this for any length of time beyond 6 months, so if you've been dealing with the same thing for a year, 2 years, 5 years, if you keep operating from the same perspective and you keep doing what you've been doing, you are going to get the same exact results. and you're going to move those out, that many amount of years, right? It's like I just got done speaking at a conference, and I can't tell you how many people I've seen who are dealing with OCD and anxiety, and and but the repeated patterns just present that cause them to continue exactly where they are, essentially stay where they are for years upon years upon years upon years, and that's unnecessary. Because in order to have change, you have to make actual change in your life. You can't just want the change. And so sometimes that means like really looking at certain things in our life and asking uncomfortable questions. And if it is making you uncomfortable today, then like, yeah, sit with that for a second. That's okay. It might be a great thing, because maybe it's going to begin to, have you start asking yourself a different way of looking at something, and starting to do something different is better than doing what you've been doing if it hasn't gotten you the result that you're looking for. So the intention today is not to be disruptive in a bad way. It's to be disruptive in a good way. It's like, if you haven't gotten where you want, what we need is a change of perspective, of trajectory, of intervention, of your own willingness, your own intensity, your own commitment, your own level of responsibility. Like, all of these variables need to be looked at and say, okay, where am I not showing up for myself? Where am I minimizing this? Where am I avoiding? Where am I not taking responsibility? Where can I improve, and where can I turn the dial a little bit so that I can achieve a different result than what I'm achieving? And so I know this is more just questions today, but they're questions that if you're still dealing with this and you're stuck and you've been dealing with this for some time, doing what you've been doing is not going to get you where you want to go. It's going to get you where you are. And if you don't like where you are, you can't keep doing what you've been doing. You have to change. So my hope is that in this episode, we've probed a little bit to start cultivating that energy to facilitate the change that you really want. So with that, wish you a great day and a great week, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode. Take care. Hey there, thanks so much for watching that episode. If you found it helpful, we have some links to some other episodes that we think you might like as well. And if you're looking for help on your journey to recovery from fear, stress, and anxiety, either check out the links in the notes or head over to restoredminds.com. Thank you, and talk to you soon.